Okay, everyone, hello and happy Tuesday. So today, yesterday we discussed our vocabulary lesson for the week. You had a small introduction to these people, the Minoans, the first civilization in the Greek world of the Mediterranean that we'll discuss this week. Today we will discuss that Minoan civilization. It's their height of their achievement and the destruction of their civilization. So something that's fun is that the Minoans are one of the groups that are considered a possibility of having been connected with the myth or the legend of Atlantis and a civilization that disappeared. So you'll see by the end why. First, to match, and we don't know, but to match that theory, you would need an advanced civilization that had great achievements, that suddenly had a disaster that destroyed their civilization. You have all three of those components here with the Minoan civilization, so we'll get right into it. The Minoan civilization, as you discussed yesterday with our vocabulary lesson, they established and they ran a vast trade network through the Mediterranean Sea. You know that a trade network are the routes that trade was conducted on. Vast means large, extensive. And along a trade network, you have trade posts that you stop at in order to conduct trade. I take things, give it to you. You take things, give it to me. We sell them to each other. We barter. We trade them. And those trade posts that we stop at are colonies. So the Minoans established a trade network by starting colonies or trade posts throughout their network in order to trade. Many of these colonies grew to be powerful city-states hundreds of years after the Minoans began them. And we discussed that yesterday. We looked at a map similar to this map right here. So the Minoans are located in ancient Greece, as some of you answered on number 1 yesterday. The Minoans are located on the island of Crete right here. And the extent of their cultural and trade influence, because those are the same, is all here in the Peloponnesus, the southern peninsula of Greece, over here where Athens would have been located, all along the coastline here, and these many hundreds of islands here, as well as Rhodes, the large island here. Okay? Minoan achievements. They were, as you'll see on the video that I'm going to have you watch after this lesson here, they were named the Minoans because historians and archaeologists like us, we don't know what they actually called themselves. But there is the legend of a King Minos, who's their legendary king of Crete, the island here that they're located on. So if King Minos is real, and you'll see a documentary, that's 37 minutes coming up after this lesson, King Minos is the legendary king, and therefore Minoans, Minoans. They're named after him. They didn't call themselves the Minoans. We're 100% sure of that. But since they more or less, we say disappeared, really their civilization came to an abrupt end because of a cataclysm. We don't know what they called themselves, and the historical record has been lost. So we call them Minoans. Okay? Now, their achievements, they were expert shipbuilders, and you have to be if this is the area that you live on. You live on this island in the Mediterranean, and you're hundreds of miles from most of these other locations here. You need to be expert at building a ship that's not going to sink. You need to be an expert at following the stars and sailing that ship and navigating. Okay? So of their 3 achievements we'll focus on today, expert shipbuilders and sailors. They were experts at trade. They traded wood, olive oil, and beautiful pottery. Okay? They were very artistic, these people. And their art reflected the things around them and the things that they saw around them. And they would trade wood, olive oil, and pottery across the Mediterranean Sea, and they would trade those things, and in return they would receive gold, silver, gems, jewels, and copper, and things like that. Metals that they didn't have on their island of Crete. Essentially, they're producing things here that they can trade here that these locations don't have, and the things that they don't have on Crete that they can get from these locations, they're bringing back to Crete. That is the basis of their trade in the Mediterranean Sea, the basis of their trade network. Okay? And so, they also are well known. One of the coolest things I think that they're known for as an achievement are frescoes. This is your one vocab word for today, frescoes. So frescoes are watercolor paintings. Okay, watercolor paint used they're painted on wet plaster walls. And so when you paint watercolors on a wet plaster wall, when it dries, it preserves. It makes that color, those vibrant colors, stay as vibrant as they were the day that they were painted. It holds those colors so that they preserve them, they make them last for a very long time. And so I'll show you a couple of cool examples of frescoes. Things that you'll see in the documentary that are important to these people are bulls. They venerated or worshipped the bull. And so this is a beautiful fresco that was discovered that wasn't destroyed by the cataclysm that did destroy this civilization for these people. You'll see the colors, the various blues, and then the dirt, the different sand and browns for the land that they would have had around them. This shows somebody dancing on a bull, some sort of religious ceremony, and it's just really for an ancient people. Most ancient people didn't have a lot of time to spend on art because it had to do with, survival, collecting food, producing food, collecting water, building walls, and protecting yourselves, or winning wars, or traveling in order to stay alive. And these Minoans established this trade empire, and one of the things that allowed them to do is focus on other things other than survival, such as art. And now the other things they see around them are going to be, look where they live again, in the middle of the gorgeous Mediterranean Sea. And so they are going to have frescoes that depict the things that they see around them, like beautiful dolphins in the Mediterranean. Look at the detail, the eyes. It's really impressive. These are gorgeous frescoes. They would often take up an entire wall in a palace or a temple. And these are just a few that actually survived. You can see right here, it's a little bit chipped, and that's because this survived their cataclysm. You can also see the other sea creatures and things that are around them. They see these things around them in their daily lives. So we talked briefly about the Minoans and about their achievements. Again, those achievements are that they are expert shipbuilders and sailors. They established this vast trade network that encompasses all of the Aegean Sea and the Mediterranean, the eastern portion of the Mediterranean here. They trade in wood, olive oil, and beautiful pottery, which they produce this beautiful pottery using the pottery wheel, and these paintings, these frescoes. Unfortunately, around 1600 BCE, a massive volcano, several dozen miles located away from Crete on the island of Thera, erupted, and it rained down hot burning ash on this Minoan civilization. In addition to this, and the ash is burning the people, it's burning up their farm fields and their food production. And so, in addition to this, this giant eruption is so powerful that it creates essentially a tidal wave. And this wave, this enormous wave, was created from the power of the eruption, and it also wiped out the Minoans and their cities and their ships and their ports, and it really just scattered these Minoan people across the Mediterranean and the Aegean and killed many lives. So it is believed that this eruption led to the end of the Minoan civilization, which historians say disappeared abruptly. It didn't disappear like someone snapped their fingers and, bam, they're gone. They're wiped out. They were just standing in front of me. Now they're invisible. They disappeared. It's not quite like that. But for a trade network and for a vibrant civilization like this, so Thera is this island right here that I'm showing you. All this distance from the island of Crete, where the center of this beautiful, thriving Minoan civilization is located. And it's going to unleash such fury, this volcano. It destroys the majority of that island, and it sends, as you'll see in a minute, ash and waves all across this area. Okay? It was heard, the explosion was heard 3,000 miles away. And so that would mean if that eruption occurred right here in New Bedford, people in California would hear it, would have been able to hear it. That's how powerful it was. Okay, so if Santorini is the modern name of the island Thera back then, if it exploded here, it would have really encompassed all of this area that's being circled. So mainland Greece was largely saved from it because the prevailing winds were blowing this way, which is south and east. And so Thera is directly north of Crete, but I mean, this is Egypt, and this is Turkey over here. All of this region would have been affected by it. Here's what it would have looked like. This was the island of Thera back then, which we call Santorini today. This is what it looked like as it was a volcano. This is what it looks like today. It blew the top off the entire island. Okay, this is obviously an illustration to show you the power of it, but this is an aerial photograph of the island of Santorini today. It started as a large volcanic mountain, and this is what we're left with. And the documentary that you're now about to see, it's 37 minutes. You should try to watch at least a half hour of it, and there is going to be a very brief 2-question Google form exit ticket for you to work on. And these are the Minoans. This is their story.